Hello friends, welcome back to DevOps Scene. In this video, we are going to learn how to create Elastic IP in AWS and how to assign Elastic IP to our EC2 instance. So firstly, what is Elastic IP? So the Elastic IP address is nothing but it's a static IP address. Every time we stop and start our EC2 instance, our public IP and DNS name going to change. So how to avoid that? So for that we need to create elastic IP address, and once you create the elastic IP address and attach to our EC2 instance, every time you stop and start your EC2 instance, then your IP address is not going to be changed. So you will always have a static IP address. So for that, firstly we need to create elastic IP. So here, if I scroll down, here you can see network and security section, elastic IPs, right? So firstly, we need to create our elastic IP, and then we need to attach this elastic IP to our EC2 instance. So for that, firstly, we need to launch our EC2 instance. So let's launch. So click on launch EC2 instance. Then here, firstly, we need to choose an AMI. So here I will choose this Amazon Linux to AMI. Click on select. Then second step, choose an instance type. So here I will choose t2.micro. Then configuration instance. So I want only one instance. That's why here one. Then add storage. Then add tags. So my instance name will be Linux. Then configuration security group. Review and launch. And now launch instance. Now click on view instances. Now you can see our instance state is pending. So wait for a few seconds. It's running. So you can see it's running. Now, if I select my Linux instance and now if I copy the public IP, and now, so you can see this is my public IP of this Linux instance, right? Now, I'm going to stop my Linux instance. So you can see the instance state is stopping. Now you can say it's stopped. Now we are going to start our instance and let's check our public IP address is changed or not. So let's start our instance. So it's pending. So wait for a few seconds. Okay, now it's running. Now select our instance and now we are going to copy our IP, public IP, and let's check our public IP with our previous public IP. Different, right? This is our previous public IP and this is our current public IP. This is different, right? So how to avoid that? So for that, we need to create elastic IP. That means static IP, and we need to assign this elastic IP to this Linux instance. So let's create elastic IP. So here you can see we are in elastic IP address dashboard. So let's create elastic IP. So click on allocate elastic IP address. And here choose Amazon pool of IP addresses. Then if I scroll down, here you can see tags. So if you want to add tag, so you can add tags. So I want to add tag for name. So now my name will be Linux, and then click on allocate. Now you can see a elastic IP address allocated successfully, and our elastic IP address you can see here for Linux. You can see allocated IPv4 address, type public IP, then allocation ID, and so on. You can see the details of here. Right, so we have successfully created elastic IP address, and now we are going to attach this elastic IP to our EC2 instance. So select your instance and then click on action, and then click on associate elastic IP address. And then here you need to choose our EC2 instance. So here I will select instance because I want to allocate this elastic IP to my EC2 instance. Then here you need to choose our instance. You can see our instance name Linux, and the state is running. Then private IP address. So my Linux instance private IP is 172.31.11.238. You can see here the private IP, right? Then click on this allow this elastic IP address to be reassociated, and then click on allocate. Now you can see the message, the elastic IP address associated successfully. So let's check. So here now I'm going to click on refresh. So change. I copy my IP address. And paste here. So you can see this is my static IP address. Now if I will stop my this Linux instance, then start my instance, then my IP address is not going to be changed. So let's check. Now this is my static IP address, right? Last one. So let's check. Now I'm going to stop my instance. So the state is stopping. So the state is stopped. Now we are going to start our Linux instance, and let's check our IP address. Now the state is pending. Now it's running. Now select your instance, and now I'm going to copy my public IP, and now here I'm going to paste. So you can see the both IP address are same, right? There is no any difference. That means it's a static IP address, because I'm going to associate the elastic IP to my EC2 instance. That's why if I'm stop my instance, EC2 instance, and then start, there is no any difference in this IPs. There is no any changes in this IP. You can see here my IP is not changed, right? So that's the elastic IP. Here you can see. So in this video, we have learned how to create elastic IP in AWS and how to assign elastic IP to our EC2 instance. So thank you for watching our video. I hope you like the video and it's helpful to you. So please like, share, and subscribe our DevOps channel.